Karen kept spying on my yard daily, so I installed motion sprinklers and let her have it. My name is Noah Reed, and my backyard was my haven, a vibrant, somewhat wild sanctuary from the concrete jungle of the city. As an urban ecologist, my passion was to transform my modest plot into a microecosystem, a buzzing oasis for native pollinators, beneficial insects, and migratory birds. This meant a deliberate cultivation of diverse, often untamed, plant life: milkweed for monarchs, sunflowers reaching for the sky, and wildflowers blooming in joyous disarray. It wasn't a manicured lawn, it was a living, breathing experiment, a testament to biodiversity. My next-door neighbor, however, saw it as nothing short of a personal affront. Deborah Albright, with her perfectly coiffed blonde hair, designer sunglasses perched perpetually on her nose, and a rigid adherence to neighborhood aesthetics, deemed my ecological paradise a weed patch, a fire hazard, and, most damningly, a blight on the neighborhood's property values. Her daily routine seemed to involve extended periods of staring, often with a disapproving shake of her head, over our shared picket fence, her lips pursed in an expression of perpetual judgment. "Mr. Reed," she declared one morning, leaning precariously over the fence, her voice dripping with condescension. "This is simply unacceptable. Your garden is unruly. It attracts undesirable elements, insects, frankly, and looks utterly messy. We in the pristine pines uphold a certain standard of curb appeal. I suggest you get a proper landscaper, or the HOA will be forced to intervene." Her tone implied that my very existence, and that of my beloved pollinators, was a personal insult to her delicate sensibilities. She had the air of someone who expected the world to bend to her meticulously manicured will. I tried to reason with her, explaining the ecological benefits, the native species, the role my garden played in supporting local wildlife. I even offered to trim the plants closest to the fence line to maintain a neater appearance, a compromise that went against my purest principles but seemed reasonable. "Mrs. Albright," I patiently explained, trying to maintain my composure, "this isn't just a garden, it's a pollinator sanctuary. Every plant here serves a purpose. It's vital for the local ecosystem, and it's entirely on my property." She merely scoffed, waving a dismissive hand. "Ecosystems are for parks, Mr. Reed. Our neighborhood is for prestige. Get rid of the weeds or face consequences." Her icy resolve was chilling, a thinly veiled threat of unknown repercussions. The threats escalated from daily glaring and muttered comments to increasingly aggressive tactics. She'd take photos of my yard, circle problem areas, and send them to the HOA with scathing notes. I tried to ignore her, hoping her obsession would wane, but it only intensified. Then the unthinkable happened. I came home one afternoon to find my prize-winning monarch caterpillar host plants, the milkweed I had meticulously cultivated, had been ruthlessly yanked from the ground and piled in a sad, dying heap by my back door. Several young monarch caterpillars, tiny emerald jewels, lay shriveled among the wilting leaves. The soil was disturbed, and I saw faint footprints leading away from the plant bed. Deborah. There was no doubt in my mind. She had physically invaded my space, destroyed my plants, and killed fragile, living creatures. Rage, cold and precise, ignited within me. As I stood there, reeling from the sight of the ecological carnage, a tiny, almost imperceptible gleam caught my eye on my back porch. It was the lens of my newly installed smart outdoor camera, which I had placed to monitor bird nests, forgetting it also had a wide-angle view of the entire backyard. My heart hammered with grim realization. It would have captured everything. Every single, damning second of her illegal entry and malicious act. This wasn't just about my plants. It was about something far larger. I spent the next 2 days setting my trap. I procured 2 industrial-grade motion-activated sprinklers, the kind used on golf courses, with powerful nozzles and a wide spray radius. I aimed them strategically, one covering the path leading to my milkweed patch, the other trained squarely on the picket fence, directly in front of the spot where Deborah typically conducted her daily surveillance. I linked them to my smart home system, allowing me to remotely monitor their activation. The stage was set. I waited. And sure enough, the next morning, as the sun climbed higher, I saw her. Brenda, in her pristine white walking clothes, designer visor, and oversized sunglasses, approached the fence. She paused, surveying my garden with her usual disapproving gaze, her lips already beginning to purse. She even leaned forward slightly, peering intently, perhaps looking for new weeds to report or another opportunity for a hostile intervention. That was her mistake. My finger hovered over the activate button on my phone app. With a silent command, I unleashed it. Whoosh! 2 powerful jets of icy water erupted from the sprinklers, one drenching the exact spot she was leaning over the fence, the other hitting the pathway she'd used to access my garden days before. Brenda shrieked, a high-pitched, indignant sound, utterly soaked in an instant. Her designer visor flew off, her perfectly coiffed hair plastered to her scalp, her white outfit now clinging transparently to her body. She stumbled back, sputtering, utterly humiliated. "What the? How dare you? You did this on purpose," she wailed, flailing her arms. "My apologies, Mrs. Albright," I called out, stepping onto my porch, my voice calm but with an undeniable edge of satisfaction. "Just maintaining my natural garden. Those are motion-activated sprinklers. Very efficient, really. Perhaps you triggered them by loitering?" Brenda, dripping wet and furious, looked like a drowned rat. She fumbled for her phone, her fingers trembling. "I'm calling the police. This is assault. Harassment!" she shrieked, her voice cracking with rage. "Actually, Mrs. Albright, I think I'll be calling the police." A calm, authoritative voice cut through the tense air. A sleek, official-looking van pulled up, emblazoned with the logo of the City Environmental Department. Out stepped Dr. Anya Sharma, the stern but brilliant head of the Green Corridors Project, accompanied by a police officer. I had reached out to Dr. Sharma the previous day, explaining Deborah's vandalism and the potential impact on our project, and she had, in turn, contacted law enforcement, bringing her own compelling evidence. "We received your email, Mr. Reed, about the sabotage," Dr. Sharma said, her gaze fixing on the now-sodden Deborah. "And we've also had several complaints from other residents about unauthorized incursions into their own designated green corridor plots. It seems a certain individual has been disrupting critical urban ecological research. And just now, we witnessed her attempting to trespass again." Eleanor Vance, a tenacious investigative reporter from the city's largest newspaper, who had been tipped off by Dr. Sharma's office about potential environmental vandalism, emerged from her car, camera rolling. Brenda, her bravado completely evaporated, looked utterly defeated. Her face, a mask of pure terror, crumpled. Her eyes darted wildly, seeking an escape that wasn't there. The presence of Dr. Sharma, the police, and a reporter seemed to hit her like a physical blow. She stammered, denying everything, her voice a reedy whisper of her former imperiousness. No, it's just a misunderstanding. I was just admiring his flowers." "He's crazy," she wailed, but her words held no conviction. She looked utterly terrified, her perfect facade cracking and crumbling before our eyes. Dr. Sharma stepped closer. "A misunderstanding, Mrs. Albright? We have security footage, including some taken from your own home security system which your gardener accidentally uploaded to a public cloud, showing you specifically pulling out the milkweed plants. You even commented on camera about getting rid of those nasty bugs. We also have eyewitness accounts from other residents about your consistent harassment of Mr. Reed and others participating in the Green Corridors project. It appears you've been systematically trying to undermine this vital conservation effort. And for what? To maintain a purely aesthetic, sterile environment for your pristine Pines image." This was the second, deeper twist, revealing that Deborah's obsession was not just about aesthetics, but a deliberate, almost ideological opposition to nature and communal ecological efforts, fueled by a desire for absolute control over her surroundings. The police officer calmly stepped forward. "Mrs. Albright, you are being charged with criminal trespass, felony vandalism, and interference with a state-sponsored environmental project. Anything you say can and will be used against you." He gestured to the police car. The fallout was swift and brutal. Deborah Albright was arrested on the spot, her sodden, humiliated figure a stark contrast to her usual imperious demeanor. The news of her arrest, the public drenching, and the exposé of her environmental vandalism exploded in national media, painting her as a cautionary tale of unchecked, petty tyranny. The Pristine Pines HOA facing immense public outrage, potential class action lawsuits from residents whose own eco-gardens had been secretly sabotaged by Deborah, and a full-blown investigation by the city's environmental department immediately removed her from her leadership positions and publicly disavowed all her actions. Her carefully cultivated social circle crumbled, her allies vanished, and her name became synonymous with petty cruelty and ecological destruction. She lost everything she had so desperately sought to control and impress, her ambition and hubris repaid in full by public humiliation, legal ruin, and a profound drenching. As for me, my garden slowly began to heal, and the monarch caterpillars returned. The sprinklers remained, a silent, unblinking sentinel against future incursions. There was a quiet, grim satisfaction in seeing justice served, in protecting not just my personal space but a vital public project. Yet, the victory was tinged with the weariness of battle, a reminder of how easily personal delusion can escalate into destructive action. It leaves us to ponder: when does the pursuit of perceived community perfection cross the line into outright harassment and environmental destruction? How far should individuals go to protect their private property and contribute to public good from the unchecked aggression of others? And what responsibility do we all share in fostering a community that embraces diversity, even in its gardens, rather than enforcing rigid, destructive uniformity?